December 13, 2016. Gina is pleased to bring you today's edition of the Government News Brief. In the news, future budgets to be presented before the start of the fiscal year, GWI remains committed towards providing high-quality water, and Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu says government working towards fulfilling its mandate to the people. Stay tuned as we bring you the details of these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Now for the details. Future budgets will be presented before the start of the fiscal year, says Finance Minister Winston Jordan. Paul McAdam has the details.
Minister of Finance Winston Jordan says that his hard-working staffers should be lauded for their efforts to produce a budget before the start of the fiscal year. The Finance Minister was at the time making his final presentation for the 2017 budget debates.
No country indulges in the practice of producing their annual fiscal plan after the year would have started. The Honorable past President Cheddi Jagan must be torn in his grave to hear what his people on that side are speaking about. None of his budgets in his time ever came out after the year had started.
The Finance Minister recalls that several budgets which were laid before the House in the late 60s and 70s were done so in December.
1976 budget was presented on the 24th of November 1975. That's the earliest post-independence budget. And Honorable Frank Hope, again, 1977 budget was presented on the 30th of December 1976. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, that was the last time in the history of this country that a budget was ever presented before the fiscal year started.
Describing Budget 2017 as an audacious one that will transform the economy, Finance Minister Jordan quoted the reason for an early budget as presented by the former Auditor General Anil Gulsaran in a recent newspaper opinion piece.
An early budget facilitates efficient and effective planning of programs and activities as well as their execution. With 12 months within which to do so, budget agencies can now space out their activities more evenly and are in a better position to manage the related financial flows. This in turn will facilitate greater observance of the relevant legislation, rules and regulations regarding the use of public funds and assets. Additionally, since government expenditure sets the tone for economic activities throughout all sectors of the economy, an early budget will have a significant beneficial effect on the economy. Story done. I rest my case.
The Finance Minister queried the reasons for some persons and organizations, such as the Private Sector Commission, questioning why an early budget was done.
I wish to reiterate, this government will not be bringing out any more budgets after the fiscal year has started. And we hold true to this, barring any emergency that will have us go back on a ward, but which anyhow is in the Constitution, and which I felt is what the Constitution meant when they were giving you up to 3 months into the new year. It had to be for an emergency. It could not have been a scenario if you have a fiscal year starting 1st January to 1st of December, that you could have up to 4 months within which to present that budget. I rest my case.
The $250 billion budget for 2017 was presented to the National Assembly on November 28. Paul McAdam for the Government News Brief.
The government remains committed towards ensuring there is equitable and efficient delivery of high-quality pure water. Here is more.
With a sum of $2.8 billion, the Guyana Water Incorporated will be working aggressively to achieve universal and equitable water access. A 5-pronged approach spanning a 5-year cycle will achieve this objective, according to Minister of Finance Winston Jordan.
A portion of the allocation for 2017 is earmarked for the construction and installation of filters, aerators, and quality assurance systems at the Central Rhineville, Covent Garden, Grove, and New Amsterdam water treatment plants. In addition, new wells will be constructed at Section B, Sophia, Virgin Nugent, Port Rhine, Westminster, and New Amsterdam, and water supply systems will be installed at hinterland locations including Chenapau, Tasserine, Matthews Ridge, and Yarakito.
Under the non-revenue water reduction program, provisions are made for the replacement of deteriorated pipelines. The program will also allow for the installation of 15,000 water meters by the end of 2017.
The Water Authority will be pursuing investment in an upgraded billing system in support of its loss reduction initiatives. In the area of water safety and quality, a laboratory has been established at the Shelter Belt Water Treatment Plant and will be complemented by the establishment of many laboratories at each of the 23 remaining treatment plants across the country.
This endeavor by GWI, according to Minister Jordan, will ensure the water distributed to customers is of the highest quality in accordance with the World Health Organization standards. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu tells the National Assembly that the government is working towards fulfilling its mandate to the people and will not be distracted by the opposition's antics. Tiffany Rodius tells us more.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu says Budget 2017 measures continues to fulfill manifesto promises made by the government.
We are committed to the fulfillment of our manifesto promises. We said we will reduce the VAT from 16% to 14%. That is our manifesto promise. We have fulfilled it. We said we were going to remove certain sections of small business from the requirement to be registered for the purposes of VAT. We now remove people who used to be doing $10 million business. We now give them a higher threshold before they become VAT registrant or taxable person within the meaning of the Act. We have now elevated that to 15 million.
The Prime Minister says the opposition will lose its political credibility when the VAT measures improve the lives of citizens.
There's something called credibility in politics, political credibility. If you start telling people they will suffer and next year come and the workers see that there is more money in this pay envelope and that no one has to stop bathing and no one has to live in darkness because of that, the credibility bar would have been broken, and they will indict those who try to mislead them.
Prime Minister Nagamutu says Budget 2017 is a pro-Guyana budget.
Because greater resources have been allocated for our children's education, for our people's health, for housing needs, for agriculture, everything that will be considered to be critical to the lives of our people, including security. There has been more money.
The government has allocated $250 billion for the 2017 national budget. The theme of the budget is building a diversified green economy, delivering the good life for all Guyanese. It is the third of 3 budgets within 18 months by the government. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
In keeping with government's vision of decentralization of citizenship and immigration services, new passport offices are to be constructed in Linden and New Amsterdam. Here is more.
Minister of Citizenship Winston Felix explains the construction of buildings are provided for under a budgeted sum of $50 million to the Ministry of the Presidency's Citizenship and Immigration Service Program.
$50 million allocated is for 2 buildings to be used as passport offices as we are decentralizing the passport services. One in New Amsterdam and one proposed for Linden. We are committed to providing a building that provides space both for the public and for the immigration staff working there.
Further, the minister explains a provision of $126 million in the budget will cover for the procurement of furniture and the setting up of closed-circuit television cameras at both locations.
2 electrical fixtures, 2 CCTV security systems, air conditioning units, desktop computers, 6 printers and scanners, photocopiers, 10 cubicles, 10 desk chairs, 10 task chairs, and 12 seats for the waiting area. They have furniture identified have all been identified for the 2 new buildings, which I said we intend to construct at Linden and New Amsterdam.
Minister Felix says that on the onset, as it is customary, the 2 offices will be staffed by members of the Guyana Police Force, GPF, but that the staff would eventually transition to civilians. A total of $6 billion was approved by the House as the 2017 spending for the Ministry of Presidency. Of this total, $625,226,000 provides for citizenship and immigration services, including strategies to cover births, deaths, and marriages, issuance of work permits, and granting of citizenship. I am Zanil Williams for the Government News Brief.
Plans to revive the dairy industry are high on the Ministry of Agriculture's 2017 agenda. Here is Delicia Haynes with this report.
Over the past 5 years, there has been an increase in the volume of milk and dairy products imported into Guyana. Recognizing this, the Ministry of Agriculture is working towards ensuring that the dairy industry is restored. Minister Holder highlights this as one of the main areas of focus for his ministry in 2017.
Mr. Speaker, at one time Guyana had one of the most flourishing dairy industries in the Caribbean. As Minister of Agriculture, I will try to ensure this industry sees its glory days once more. The industry is stymied due to the absence of adequate milk processing facilities. My government will see the construction of a modern milk processing plant over the next 2 years, capable of not only producing fresh milk but also butter, cheese, and other dairy commodities.
The Ministry of Agriculture has already made efforts in engaging support agencies to provide assistance in funding such projects. The ministry intends to push agriculture as a business and develop agricultural practices mainly in the interior regions. As part of this goal, the ministry is seeking to establish a national dairy plant capitalizing on the milk production potential of Guyana.
We will coordinate milk production by establishing cooling stations at strategic locations. It is anticipated that with these interventions, along with necessary technical support, the sector will grow by about 10% in 2017, while at the same time making a significant contribution to increased farm income.
The initiative to restore the dairy industry comes after milk and dairy products ranked the highest import food at a cost of $27 million, equivalent of 10 million kilograms in 2015. The resuscitation and restoration of the dairy industry will provide jobs and be a catalyst for massive development in the agriculture sector. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
Maracaibo Region 5 is touted as having the potential to become Guyana's next tourism destination. Gabriela Patram tells us more.
Director of the Guyana Tourism Authority, Indranath Harold Singh, along with a team of tour operators and expert bird guides, recently visited the community to meet with the residents. The aim was to assess the community's tourism potential and understand what is needed to help boost the sector. The GTA director says the aim of the visit is to help the community in keeping with the mandate of the GTA, which is to diversify and develop community-based tourism. The community has over 1,000 Arawak inhabitants who are friendly and hospitable, a key aspect of tourism promotion.
The culture here and the community spirit is very alive, very rich. Yesterday there were a lot of demonstrations from the grating, a competition on cassava grating, and one was able to see the entire process step by step, how the juice, how the cassava is grated, how the juice is extracted using the matapi, which, by the way, was perhaps one of the best technologies man would have invented for centuries. And that is really the precursor of all the modern machines that are used to extract juices from any fruit or vegetable. Very simple, very traditional, no use of any metal or anything, very simple, but it goes to show the skill and the ingenuity of the indigenous people.
The GTA director lauds the residents for their skill in advertising their community's tourism potential. This includes their naturally flavored foods and arts and craft, which are good for tourism. Meanwhile, Tushar Colin Andrews commends the team for their visit to the community. Andrews says they welcome this visit since it is the first of its kind and hopes that it continues.
Last year we had a visit from a group which they call the Savannah Drives. And presently now they are having a group walking from Oriala, coming straight across, they're doing trekking. And next year they wanted to come in. We had some bikers came in here last year from the Yarracabra area, and it was a big batch of them, and they wanted to do it annually. So probably they can come on tour and on board with us also if should things come.
Yes.
So these are some of the things that we should capture as residents, and we see it as a potential for us.
The team visited the beach area and the trail, had a boat trip, and was entertained by the Maracaibo Cultural Group's presentation. For the Government News Brief, I'm Gabriela Patra.
The delay of payment to those participating in the Hinterland Employment and Youth Service Program has been a bother to the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs. Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Valerie Garrido-Low, is apologizing for what she says is an administrative issue.
I have been apologizing continuously to his facilitators and youths for the delay in payments. We have had some issues, some administrative issues that is being ironed out, and I'm hoping that it very soon.
The minister, however, wants youths to see the program as a means of empowering themselves.
I'd like to remind youths that this is not a job really. It's no excuse for the delay of payments, but at the same time, if they can keep in mind, this is not a job. It is an assistance towards your studies. Because in order for you to be able to get a job, you must have a skill. As I said, I apologize for the delay, but I would like them to bear that in mind too, and we're working on making sure that for next year at least, this must not continue. I'm not in agreement with it, I don't like it, but we're working on it.
In the 2017 national budget, the sum of $991 million has been allocated for the HAZE program. This will afford training of approximately 2,000 youths and stipends for both youths and facilitators. The public is advised that the Child Care and Protection Agency will be closed for business on Wednesday, December 14, 2016, due to the agency's staff conference. The hotline 227-0979 will, however, be available for emergency reports. We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.